forklift and pallet jack batteries. Has your facility experienced any issues this week? Our supplier called us earlier in the week to schedule our quarterly PM on our equipment, and almost immediately I started hearing about batteries. A pallet jack in one state started smoking and another actually produced flames. At one facility, an unloader forgot to replace a guard plate. Well, he said it already wasn't there, which just meant that he failed to do his pre-trip on his equipment. Anyway, he took off, made a turn, and the battery slid out on the floor. Luckily, it didn't turn over and spill everywhere. Oh, and one place had an order selector somehow get the charging cable caught up in his jack and ended up pulling the battery charger down off the wall. You know, batteries aren't one of our daily thoughts, even though we're around them all day long and using them, so I thought we'd talk a little about them here in just a bit. I'm Marty with Warehouse and Operations as a Career, and I appreciate the listen today. This morning I was driving to work. I was thinking about a conversation I had over the weekend with a friend. He had heard from a guy we used to work with, like 15 years ago. Now he's a great guy, one of the best reachlift operators I've ever met, and he was pretty good setting on a counterbalance lift also. Anyway, he used to kind of back up our receivers when the dock would get backed up with freight and purchase orders, helping them get everything tagged or covered for them on days off or vacations. He'd never gotten that promotion, though, due to his, personality or thought process. I know we've discussed our attitudes lately, but it wasn't an attitude, really. I guess personality is the right word. Now, like I said, he's a great guy. He just presents high energy, loves to talk, and when you break it down, he's not really a rules kind of guy. He is a bit of a me guy. I remember one day he was laughing at one of his peers about how long it took him to get home. They lived in the same neighborhood. One of the highways they had to take had an HOV lane. It was one of those where you can drive in and out of, just kind of whip between those little 3-foot-high plastic poles that are there as lane markers. Anyway, he was laughing, saying he just jumped in and out of the HOV lane and he could drive like 80 miles an hour that way. He expressed how funny it was that the highway department used those plastic poles because they didn't even hurt your vehicle. Well, his supervisor was overhearing the conversation and interjected that, it didn't sound like that was a very mature thing to be doing. This gentleman stated, they fine you $400 if you get caught, but you don't get into any real trouble. He had to pay 2 tickets for it. I'll never forget the look on the supervisor's face, and it was one I'd seen several times where this individual was concerned anyway, and several times after as well. Again, he was a great guy, always at work and loyal to a T, but not always the best decision maker. So I was driving in today. I saw 2 people not wanting to wait in line to turn left and zoomed past like 15 cars and then nudges their way in front of someone to jump in line. Twice, I observed 2 vehicles outright running red lights. At another stoplight, I saw a guy honk at a little old lady for not accelerating through an amber light because he then couldn't run the red light. Oh, and get this one. Now, this wasn't this morning. I witnessed this over the weekend. But a guy in a sedan actually jumped a curb to turn right on red at a signal stating no right turn on red. And then he got upset with the girl in front of him for not turning right for him. Okay, now I'm certainly not judging anyone. I honestly don't care. Many of you know I drive a bike sometimes on the nicer days, so I'm more than just a little defensive when it comes to driving. I just try and roll with the flow. I always wait a few seconds to let them race on through, or I'll back off and let them slide in front of me, although I have to admit that I giggle a little when I see someone riding alone in the HOV lane, especially when I suspect that the sheriff department's at the end giving out citations. It's just a few more minutes, people. There's absolutely nothing wrong, in my opinion anyway, with being that person. But why are there those people? I think it was Warren Miller that said you are a unique person, just like everybody else. Anyway, like I said, there's nothing wrong with having that personality. It's you. But we need to realize it could hold us back in our careers. Remember what we've learned? More money is solely based on more responsibility. Making decisions, thinking of others, and always looking out for the company's interest are the attributes our managers are looking for when selecting someone to take their place. If we do have a little me in us, don't flaunt it or think it's worth bragging about. Remember, when we make the decision to skirt the rules, we're affecting or holding up someone else. A lot of times we're holding ourselves back. Okay, so let's get back to batteries. We all learned in our pit training that it's important to know a little about our equipment's battery. The data plate is where we can find most of that information. We know to follow our facility's charging protocol and to make sure we always check the battery guard and containment plate on both sides. But what's special about our industrial batteries? Now I've worked with 12 volt, 24 volt, 36 volt, and 48 volt systems, but I understand they have 60 volt and 80 volt and even a 96 volt system for certain applications. Of course, the charging of our batteries is probably our most important concern. Anyone ever came in to start your shift and found that your counterpart failed to plug in our jacks or our forklift? And you've noticed that the connector ends are different for each type of our equipment. This prevents us from accidentally connecting to the wrong voltage charger. That wouldn't be good for our batteries at all. As for chargers, you'll see critical power chargers and motive chargers. There's many different kinds of both. Some perform diagnostics, and smart chargers can even control when our batteries will accept a charge. I've worked around a lot of float chargers. Amps seem to be more of what us operators are going to deal with in our environments. Luckily for us, we'll have, or should have, a maintenance department or maintenance man that's going to take care of all the technical aspects or concerns we'll need to deal with. I've found that SBS Battery is one of the biggest manufacturers I know of. Check out their website to learn all that technical stuff on industrial batteries that you'd ever want to know about. A few things we should know, and I hope that your supervisor explained all these to you during your walkthrough orientation, is that there is to be no smoking around batteries. That can cause a whole lot more than just a fire. When batteries are charging, they can release oxygen and hydrogen. Even hydrogen sulfide can be produced if overcharged. Under certain circumstances, even chlorine gas and arsenic can be produced. Again, these fumes are dangerous, and it's important our battery area is well ventilated. If you feel that the smell is stronger than normal or something is wrong, it is our responsibility to notify our management team immediately. You know, batteries are like everything else we work around. They can be dangerous. But if we practice what we've been taught, follow all the rules and procedures, they're safe and we're safe. I hope you do go check out that website though. You'll find something interesting and learn a lot more about working safely around them. And bring up batteries to your maintenance man. He'll love having the opportunity to share a little knowledge with you. And please remember, if you're responsible for changing your own battery, be careful. Follow all the procedures. They're heavy, and you don't get a second chance when you're working with that kind of weight. Well, I hadn't planned on talking about batteries this week, just kind of came up. I'll reach out and find us a maintenance manager to come on the show and educate us to batteries, something above the do's and don'ts. And I hope we brought you something that you can think about and learn a little more on this week. And I hope also to be back with you next week. I'm having part 2 of that oral surgery this week, so we'll just have to see. Until then, let's present ourselves as we'd like to be seen and be safe at all times. Remember, our peers, significant others, and our children count on us.